I won't say good day in Norwegian, because I said it to the taxi driver when I got in. He was Ethiopian and he laughed. So I haven't even learnt good day, apologies. But yeah, hi. There are two sorts of people in the world: geologists and normal people. So please, could you give me a quick show of hands of who are geologists? That's great. It's about half the audience, and the normal people, you can just be normal and don't have to put your hands up. But geologists, we really need to talk to normal people, and that's the theme of this talk. Let's see if any of the technology works. I'm part-time at Exeter, which is why I'm flagged up all over the place, but I'm a sort of one-man band, one horse with a leg that's damaged, as earthwords. I write words about the earth. It's not earthworks, which is gives you jobs. It's not earthwords. It's not earthworms, but it is earthwords. How many times I've explained that to people? Okay, so we need to talk. Let's see if this works. We've had fun with the technology. Nope, that's the wrong button. No. So you're going to start walking out now because it's gone so far. You've seen all the slides. This is normal. Okay, so we know what geoheritage is. Forget that. So what do we want to tell them? Okay, so the title was Geoheritage. What do we want to tell them? Let's try and get just one slide going. What do they want to know? Different. What do they want to know? And what do we want to tell them? That's progress. It really is. I see an awful lot of communication about earth science for the general public. I think some people are agreeing. Maybe they want to know nothing. Oh dear. We've got problems. How do we find out what they want to know? Well, talk to them. Lead a guided walk. Ask them. This was a question that came up quite some years ago at the Northern Irish Geological Survey. They had a conference back in the last millennium, way back. And one of the survey geologists said, what do people want to know? And I got up on the floor and said, well, lead a guided walk. And they'll ask you the questions, and you'll pick out what they want to know. And I suggest they don't really want to know that something is 80.2 or 80.4 million, but they're kind of, how do you know it's so many million years? And that's kind of an easy question, because you just go dit, 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 and you say, okay, you know about Geiger counters, and you've got, I've never heard a Geiger counter make that noise before, but do we have to leave? Is it dangerous? Was that the museum one? Okay. So I think we should try to explain processes, how geology works, how geologists work, not just name products. And of course, geologists, professional geologists, they'll certainly only want to know a tiny fraction. And there's a great temptation to fill them with knowledge or throw knowledge at them, and they'll just sort of shrivel away. So far, nobody in the room is shriveling away, or nobody in the room is left, which is good. Okay, communication. We often use words, lots of jargon, okay, complex diagrams to communicate with each other. And the crucial question is, how far can we simplify this and still maintain good science? So basically, we're talking, if you like, if you want to be rude, dumbing down, but we're still maintaining scientific integrity. I wouldn't say it's dumbing down. I was just saying we're trying to communicate with people in terms they understand. Can we get our message across sometimes without words? give people ideas with pictures, sculptures, cartoons, even humor. Humor's a dicey one. It often doesn't work. Anyway, let's start with jargon. And it's great. I've got a captive audience here. Thank you. So I'll ask you some questions. I'm afraid this is purely in English. Is it suitable language for a doctor to describe a medical problem to a patient? Ah! Ah! The whole point of this is, of course, it's interactive. You know the answer, so you can spill the beans. A myocardial infarction is, of course, a heart attack. So no points for getting that right. How about a cerebrovascular event? Anybody? I've had lots of problems with this technology. We've had pushing things in out. Oh, geez. I spent not last night before fiddling around with trying to get stuff for the workshop. Right, just one flick. Yeah, I'm trying to do just one flick. Hey, there. Whew. So what's that one? Acne. It's worse than acne. Much, much worse than acne. But of course, if you're a teenager, you might think acne is the end of the world. That's what doctors call cancer. Or sometimes they don't use the word cancer, but I hope they do. So that's cancer. Okay. These have all been verified by my doctor. He wondered why. Thought I was a hypochondriac, but I did explain it was for a talk on geology. He was even more confused. We're friends, so that's all right, he laughed. And then we get all these abbreviations. Ha, don't we? ECG, BPH, old man's problem, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Is this suitable language for a geologist to describe a site to a non-geologist visitor? Conglomerate. Now, this came out of the workshop yesterday. For most people, conglomerate is a big company with lots of different parts to it, which may have no relationship to what you think of. So it's maybe a bus company, but it's about lots of, etc. And so if you say conglomerate, that's the image or the thing they have in people's mind. And there's lots of words like this. Matrix is another one. Matrix has specialist meanings for lots of different people. And depending where they're, sorry, jargon, horrible, coming from, their expertise, they will be thinking, matrix and a sandstone? Where's the maths in that, or something like that? We have to be very careful. And of course, in different parts of even one country, these things have different meanings. That'll be over a pint of beer or something, but dike is a classic one. Dike is a geological dike, but a dike is a ditch, dike is a wall, blah, blah, blah. Where you go across the UK from south to north, dike will have different connotations for people. Rigs is another one, but that after dinner. Arenaceous. What does that mean? That's rubbish. That means sandy. So why don't you, as far as I know, it has no specific meaning, definition that ties it down to anything apart from just meaning sandy. Yep, so why use that long word when you could use sandy? Is it trying to show we're clever? We are geologists, you are normal people. Don't know. Emplaced. We know why somebody might use igneous geologists might use the word emplaced, but we know what placed means, but putting the prefix in front causes people's problems. It really does. This is all going to be up on YouTube, including all the pratfalls and all the other mistakes, so you can enjoy it at your leisure. I can give you a PDF if you like, rather than making notes, if you really wanted. Synclinorium. Why am I going on about... I've seen all these terms in stuff for the public. Yes. Serpentinite. Well, down in Cornwall, we've got a nice little ophiolite too. We call it serpentine quite happily. And we know, as geologists, we were talking about the mineral or the rock type. So I wouldn't bother if I was writing for the public to put in the thing serpentinite. What's he going on about? Everyone calls it serpentine. Right. Then we get all these wonderful things that occur and stuff for the public at times. So we've got usually not a common word. There's a problem. So usually a common word which means the same as our jargon term. Hey, that's why we use jargon. It's shorter and quicker. How do we get around this? We might have to use more words, of course. But if people are understanding, that's not a problem, I think. I think this is the next one. Can I just check? Yes, it is. Getting twitchy about this. Is this for normal people? It was up in the fantastic tourist board for northern Portugal. Serra Penedas Gerês National Park, northern Portugal, glaciated recently. And this is on a panel. And 3 different languages. And the English had this, and my Portuguese friends had the Portuguese. So look. The first word there, is that going to be friendly for a non-geologist? No, metasediments. The second word, mica schist. Nope. So we've got a 100% fail rate in just the caption. And then, of course, all the rest. You know, why about all these minerals? Why don't say that the minerals tell us about something about the changes in the rock, the metamorphism, and these particular indicator minerals, etc., etc. It hasn't been checked by an English speaker because it's got siluric up there, and it's granada there, which is garnet, and there's which is not and, but it looks, yeah, well, it's Portuguese. So yeah, everything has to be checked by a native speaker, or should be. And people don't really worry about 440, ma, and 416, ma. Okay. They like the word metamorphism because they've got metamorph twice, and one of them is wrong. We don't say metamorphosize, do we? So you don't have to Photoshop stuff. It's out there, published. We're not trying to help people in Scrabble games. You have Scrabble, presumably in Norway. Okay. Conglomerate, M-place, that's a C in case you weren't sure. Orogeny, which is a bit technical. Arenaceous. And sedimentary, I can just get it on, just. That was in a wonderful, very high production values, trails in Greece, laminated cars, beautiful, beautiful, wow, in a lovely little bag, string, European grant money. Sedimentary. That's quite easy to explain. You know, we can all the geologists in the room could do that. Deformed while the stuff was being deposited. All very close now. Right. This we'll go through very quickly because it's very, very old, and I apologize. How much basic science they know? Random sample, 1988. I keep using this because nobody has told me of more recent research. This was actually redone later, but it didn't pass peer review. This was in Nature, and I would love for somebody to tell me that a survey has been done which is statistically valid about the general public's knowledge of science. Now, you might say this is trivia, this is pub quiz type stuff, but it's a bit worrying. Okay. There are quite a few people that believe that. Some people are laughing. Some people aren't quite sure. They're looking a bit serious. A third of the people at the time thought that was true. Worrying. Pretty good. Plate tectonics has got into the common knowledge. The continents are moving around. Okay. 2/3. Ha! The sun goes round the earth. Now, this was decided quite some time ago, I believe. These are UK citizens. These are not, can I use the word fruitcakes? In across the Atlantic, the continent that we left some time ago, but there's a little bit left in Norway. Okay. And that's the thing. They did it again later, but unfortunately it got thrown out of peer review, which is a great shame. And if anyone knows of anything, please tell me, John at Earthworks. Right, let's get on. I'm running out of time already. Has it got better? Don't know. So what interpretation? I'm an interpreter. I'm happy to be an interpreter. So it's information, yes, but also connections to what's interpreted, making connection for people. So it's both mind and heart, if you like. Lots of definitions, we won't bother. And interpretation helps visitors to find out things about themselves, use all their senses. That's about 5 of them or something like that, or 6 or whatever. No, 5, isn't it? Okay. See real objects, as in your nice museum, rather than just a thumb on the screen, not reproductions or digital. Be involved. So it's interactive, and thank you. You've been interactive already, answering things about myocardial infarctions. No, that we got. So where do we aim our visitors to be on this thing? Active visitor or couch potato? Well, I'd like visitors to be active and interested and concerned about conserving the geology, because that's one of the main things we want. Right. Normal people are visiting sites for leisure, not education. Absolutely crucial. And they're probably not visiting some of our special sites, because maybe they're tucked away somewhere. They're not near the local shopping mall or whatever. They might be. So we have to tell them about geoheritage where they are, in museums, urban parks, towns, cities, shopping malls, etc. And then we invite them to go and visit special sites. We might have, and it's a good idea, to interpret some very unspecial sites, very simple folds. That's an upfold, that's a downfold, anticline, syncline, that sort of stuff. And then you can go on, when they've got that, maybe on a trail, to pick up some really fantastic, deformed stuff you get in Norway. Wow, real problem to communicate it. I appreciate it to general public. Where I live in south of West England, it's much, much easier. Okay? And sustainable development, we need lots of normal people, not just a few nerdy geologists. We're talking about getting lots of people to make sustainable development economic impact. So 3 geologists a year doesn't do that. They might write in your visitor book some fantastic, lovely things, but they're not going to spend a lot of money. They'll probably live in a tent somewhere. Okay, and a special site that no one visits. I recommend you have a 100 krona dispenser with a little sign, thanks so much for visiting our special site. We've saved on doing a lot of interpretation, which would cost thousands of krona. Pull the handle and you get 100 krona. It's cheaper. But of course, now we've got apps with, people will find these things. And the other thing I'd recommend is make them earth caches, which is the Geologisk America initiative. Geological Society of America. Oh, I missed that. Thank heaven I didn't go to publication. I just went to whatever. And these are interactive, and it's a really good thing. No plastic Mickey Mouse boxes or little Mickey Mouse stuff. You have to look at the site, answer some questions. Time runs on. So the further interpretation we take our hats off to is Freeman Tilden, who was in the National Park Service, and he wrote a book in '57 interpreting our heritage. Provoke, make people, ooh, didn't know that. Ooh, that's strange, or whatever. Relate to their own life and then give them more information about it. So you're catching them. So the panel should say, look at me. Leaflets should say, pick me up. There's thousands of these leaflets in this dispenser. Pick up this leaflet. How do you do that? And interpretation should reform and affect and modify behavior. We missed one. Fancy a swim in a warm tropical sea. This is a Carboniferous limestone reef, and there we are, rather beautiful, done with an artist. And mammoth bones were found in fishes in the carbonate, in the limestone in the quarry, and they turned out to be mammoth. So mammoth fertilizer, brown end brand from the quarry, that's normal fertilizer. And there's somewhere saying 1/10 of a mammoth in each bag. There's lots of good science about the mammoths too in the panel. There's not just cartoons, promise. This is provocative. This nothing to do with the geology, but I liked it. I was passing through London the other day. I saw this. This is something I did recently. These are called pink ballerinas, and they're on the top. The people that commissioned me, the local council, wanted bobbin beacon at the top. I said, well, if people are interested in bobbin beacon, they won't pick it up. But if it says something about pink ballerinas, what's that? And you turn it over on the back, and it talks about other weird stuff. And you've got them. At least it's in their hand, and with luck, they're going to go be interested and find out more. Did you notice that until very recently, all you had on the screen was words, 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 and more words? We've actually got some pictures coming in. And many of the panels out there are basically books. Lots and lots of text without any chapters or anything in it, just solid text. I wish I'd brought the one, it's in Brazil, and there really should be a coffee machine and a seat alongside. Or maybe a lunch bar. It's enormous. It's the size of this. People come to about halfway up, you know, oh, geez. It's the history of the planet and more. So interactive, touching, stroking rocks. This is a glaciated granite boulder in the Sierra Penedras again. You can see it's in the till. And once you stroke it, it's very, very clear. It's ice smooth and so on. You see the grooving, all sorts of other things. Fingers have, you know, they're sensitive. We can use them for more than just touching a keypad. You know, you can actually, okay. Come on. I got Charles Darwin's kids to stroke rocks. Now, I bet none of you have ever done that. Unfortunately, it ended up on the cutting room floor. I was geology advisor for creation. There's somewhere it talks about 80 million years. Sorry about that. That's a bit of a text they never actually sent me. They must have changed it later. But to try and feel, these were sand. This is a grey-wacky shale sequence, and their eyes were shut, and they were stroking the rocks to feel the sand grains. That's Paul Bettany, etc. I didn't know who he was. My daughter said, oh, Dad, when she heard that I'd been told about this film and asked about it, and I didn't recognize the actor's name. Let's get on. Interpretation can also be all these things: art, music, food. These things haven't got long to live, etc. This is a Natio in the roundabout. You can see a car going around these ginormous. I mean, these are a bit bigger than the real trilobites, but they are big. Worth seeing. Nice story. I like this. This is an Iggesund. This is the corridor down to my room. That was in my room. Maybe they chose. Geologists will give them this room. Brilliant. I would have actually gone one next edition. I'd put a little QR code in the corner, and then people can find all about the geopark. Instead of turning on the telly or whatever and watching the disasters, they can actually read about the geopark. Right. Which of these would you pick up? These are from Magma Geopark. You can see sign. Who'd pick up the first one? Lots of hands. Who'd pick up the second one? Quite a few. Who'd pick up the third one? Not very many. Thank you. That's really useful. Asa? Lots of people, not many. I checked this out with the hotel receptionist. Yeah, that's fun, it's great. Hey, we've got people there enjoying themselves, climbing around on rocks. That's good, we've got humans, okay? This one is a bit of a boring landscape and so on, and the photos inside. I mean, we've had fabulous pictures from lots of speakers so far today, and let's use fabulous pictures. So here we are, TIC, my neighbor's mechanic. I use him all the time. He tells me when stuff is not good or it's very complicated, There's a lovely American thing, KISS, keep it simple, stupid. There's an even better one called Wormy. What I really mean is, when you're working on some text and it gets more and more complicated, just start again. Okay. Anyway, last week in Eggersund, to show you that anybody in Norwegian that thinks all those lovely pictures we've seen, blue skies, blue sea is genuine. But it was great geology. There we are, that's with Gro, who's works at media and production and TV and radio up at the top of a mountain, fabulous geology, and signing our names in to say we'd been there. I better get a move on. And we found some panels. That was good. Geology locality, I'll miss out locality, the geology at so. Of course, they've done lots of digital apps and things so we can find them, which is great. Bit more serious. This is a map for geologists. I think that there's too much. There's 3 varieties of gneiss there. Now, if they're all related, maybe we just have one color for the gneiss, but subtle shades of it, and we have something alongside saying gneiss indicates enormous temperature and pressures and so on and so on. We really have to make maps simple for people, who aren't geologists, and it's obviously a problem here. We really have to simplify them down so they get something useful out of it. And we have to have very simple information. Managing behavior. This is a thing they do in magma, leave nothing but footprints. They go National Park Service America. I use this one for it's not official on sites, we don't be, rather than burying some text in the back saying, if you do this, you will get allowed to be fined 100,000 kroner or whatever. People know that, do not. No hammering, collecting. I saw it first in France, in Haute-Provence. They have a range, no hammering, no picking up loose stuff from the ground. This is the Scottish Core Code. You can get this from SNH, and these are postcards. So that is a postcard. On the back side, it gives you the Scottish Core Code, which is do not do things like that. We know people need to core, but they don't need to core where everyone, visitors will see the stuff. Get on, right? Thanks, Asa. Ruggerstein, well, impressive. I wasn't any good. I couldn't push it because I didn't have my foot in the right place, obviously. Somebody's jammed it, I think, so it needs to be managed and things get away. That's the Ruggerstein sign up there. Bing. This is the first protected site in Norway, I believe. It's almost 100 years old. And it's probably a bit older than that as well, of course, but that we're geologists. Why not an interactive sign here celebrating the almost centenary protection and the 2009 Act, Nature Diversity Act, and with a layered message? So let me show you what I mean by a layered message. This is something I did in Cornwall. So Roach Rock is a special place. People know that. They come there for the chapel sitting out there, but they probably don't know it's special for its geology, and it's special for its wildlife, and it's special for local people. So if they go away with, hey, it's special for more things than I realized, I'm happy. Now, of course, I hope they're going to start reading and read all this stuff, and really write down there's something about biological management and preservation. There's stuff about geology in depth, etc., etc. I mean, it's an enormous amount of now, a lot of words, but if they go away with just the key message, the theme, that it's special for lots of different reasons, I'm happy. Can we satisfy 2 audiences at once? Well, this is part of a panel, and this is the lith log for that thing. So if any geologists come there, they will see that. And there's a bit of text about it, explaining it for non-geologists what this all means. But it's, it's basically for geologists. The rest of the panel over here is simple text. Sometimes maybe Northwest Highlands, really good. There's a Knock and Crag Visitor Centre. Recommend you go and see it. 2 audiences. What do you see? We had, I think I had 14 or 15 national, international experts on the different parts of the biota here, checking the draft, and et cetera, et cetera. This maybe is a bit rum, but the artist was a zoologist trained first. He was very happy when Mike Bassett from Cardiff National Museum in Wales said these things were at 20 degrees wrong angle. He wanted to get it right. Those are people I like working with. So it's, and I've seen lots and lots of Carboniferous seabeds which are wrong. What do you see? Or just grey rocks? So it's, yep. Okay, so I only use a tiny bit of it. I'm using 5 fossils here out of the whole lot. Two audiences again. This is Barberton, okay. Lots and lots of stuff. This is famous. All the vertebrates known at the time were in there. Big story about. Maybe they want to know nothing. Oh dear. How can we catch them? Why not a cartoon or two? Mammoth fertilizer. This is something from Geopark Arts. Ah, no. This one. Cleaned your teeth today. Of course. Put rocks in mouth. Don't be silly. Rocky white. I use this on uses of limestone from a quarry. Geoheritage. People don't know what it is. So even though I glossed over it at the beginning, we need to explain what it is. We all know all this thing we want to tell them, so I won't bother. So it's important, etc., etc. Landscape diversity needs management. It supports biodiversity and our material world. Let's engage normal people. Finally, I'm working on interpretation of some little black smudges, which are the earliest land plants, vascular plants known in the world. They're in a quarry in Wales, topmost Silurian, and they're boring-looking little things for most people. So I've got a cartoon. Breathe deeply and thank plants for the oxygen we breathe. And it says something about land plants, marine plants. James Hutton, we cannot go without mentioning James Hutton. No vestige of a beginning, no prospect of an end. Sicker point needs to be dealt with, and they're working on it at the moment. You slide down thing. Look, if James Hutton says this, his ideas might inform the human mind with information and entertainment. We can put jokes in our interpretation, because James Hutton said it first. Thanks to TAC, English to speak. That's interesting. That's a QR code from my Earthwords Facebook page, which I put up some interpretation. That's my embarrassingly bad website. Thank you. That is the lot.